ArcGIS Urban is a modeling and planning system to manage urban development. It is easy to learn, simple to use, browser-based, and no plugin, no download. It is inherently 3D, but works with 2D data as well. And it has excellent design and planning tools that can support different planning initiatives. Now, Urban has 4 key capabilities that provide business value. First of all, the ability to visualize projects citywide, both internally but also in a shared public view. On the right here, you see the city of Boston, and they want to have an overview of all their projects within their city, including status, which can be shared across agencies and with the public. The second key capability is improving planning productivity. Now, this is all about streamlining the creation and sharing of zoning and land use plans directly in the web browser in 3D. And here you see the city of Melbourne, Fisherman's Bend. Now, this plan area resides within 3 agencies and requires close collaboration as they together seek to reimagine the industrial corridor. ArcGIS Urban can also increase transparency and understanding by evaluating proposed projects as they are submitted for permitting. Here you see an image of the city of Pasadena, who has had a formal 3D model submission policy for new buildings. Now they want to incorporate BIM and other types of 3D models into the project review process, and this can reduce the time necessary to review all the projects. And finally, Urban drives better engagement. In here, on the right, you see the city of Zurich, and they helped us develop the capacity for receiving public comments in Urban through the Ideas feature. So let's have a look at a demo. Here we have the city of Melbourne in ArcGIS Urban, and what you can see here are the existing 3D buildings. Now, this layer of buildings provide context to the numerous plans and projects throughout the city. ArcGIS Urban can support both untextured and textured content, enabling you to choose which base map to use depending on the circumstances, and also your buildings can be textured or untextured. And please note that all these layers are streaming in dynamically into the browser from your organization or ArcGIS Online. Now, the main components of ArcGIS Urban are denoted here by these icons up in the top left corner. Now we have projects, plans, indicators, and ideas. So let's have a look at indicators first. Now these are useful demographic or other analytical data, and as you click on it, you can see a whole list of indicators that are available. You can author your own or use one of the Esri pre-authored ones, and they come from the Living Atlas. Now here down the bottom, for example, I created an indicator for train axes in Melbourne. And what you see here are walk times to train stations across the region. And this layer, this indicator layer, can help you when you start to do your planning using ArcGIS Urban. Next are projects. So projects are future projects, typically short-term and in a certain status. So when I click on the projects button, you get a list of all the projects throughout your city, including the status. So they can be under construction, they can be applied or approved, and you can also search or filter by status. If I just want to see the under construction projects, then ArcGIS Urban will filter those out. I can also click on a project, and then ArcGIS Urban will zoom to this location, and it opens up a project page with more information about this specific project, and included here you can also have an external link to a project web page. Now, visualizing projects, new proposed buildings in its surrounding context will speed up the review process and offers better collaboration with real estate developers, etc. And if you have a layer available that shows you the 3D models for the projects, you can load this into ArcGIS Urban as well. So in this case, you see here all the colored buildings. They are 3D models of all the projects in Melbourne City. Next are plans. Plans are future zoning and redevelopment plans, typically long-term and with uncertainty. And as we click on the plan button, same thing as with projects, we get an overview of all the plans within our city. We can filter by axis, public or not public. And as I click on a plan, ArcGIS Urban will zoom there. I get a plan overview page. And what we can do in this case with plans, we can also go into design mode. Now this is a proposed plan here in Kensington, and it's a plan I created. So bear with me, I'm not a planner, but I'll give you an idea of the power of ArcGIS Urban. Now in this plan area, as you can see, we have a mix of residential and industry. And now let's say that I wanted to provide more affordable housing and reduce industry. What impact will this have on jobs, population, the number of households, and what might it potentially look like? Well, we can do this inside of ArcGIS Urban. Now, as I draw a plan, and I already did it here, as I draw a plan area in ArcGIS Urban, it will make a copy of the relevant zoning information and parcels and copy this to a design database so I can make my changes there. And then what it does, it copies across the existing situation. And this is what we see here now. This is the existing zoning information, and these transparent volumes, they show the 3D volume within buildings can be built without breaking any zoning regulations. Now, if we want to increase density, we're going to have to change the zoning. I already did this for a number of zoning polygons. But what we can do here, for example, for this bottom polygon, I can simply select the bottom zoning polygon and then apply a different zoning type. If you click here in the top right corner, you see zoning types. You can see a list of all the available zoning types. Now, ArcGIS Urban comes by default with a whole bunch of different zoning types, but of course you can also add your own zoning types to ArcGIS Urban. Now, as we can see here, currently this zoning type has been applied to this zoning polygon. If you click on the configure option, you get an overview of all the different zoning parameters that make up that zoning type. And if I want to change the zoning, I simply click on another zoning type. And what you can see in the 3D scene is that Urban will update the zoning type and also update the 3D visualization of that particular zoning type. So we can see now here we increased the maximum height for this area, so we can build, potentially can build taller buildings. Now, as said, Urban comes with a whole list of existing zoning types, and you can also create new zoning types based on existing zoning types. This is what I did here, and in this case then we can go in and change, for example, the zoning height again to 80 and hit OK. And then ArcGIS Urban will update on the fly in real time, and you will see that for this particular zoning type, all of a sudden I can build up to 80 meters. Now next, we can also look at parcels. Of course, parcels have zoning types, associated zoning types, but within Urban we can also associate building types to a parcel. Now, a building is a plausible building form that can be built on this specific parcel. And this includes also space use information. I already did it for a few parcels, but if I wanted to do it for the parcels down here, similar to changing a zoning type, in this case, I would select the parcels that I would like to apply a different building type to. I click on the building type upper in the right corner, and I get a whole list of available building types. Now, same with zoning types. Urban comes with a whole list of different building types, but of course you can add your own custom building types to ArcGIS Urban as well. And similar to zoning types, I can go into the configure option, and here I can see all the different parameters that make up this specific building type. You cannot edit an existing building type, but of course you can make a copy of a building type and then start to modifying that copy. So let's say we are finished with making changes to zoning and building types, but now one of the most powerful features of Urban is that it also has a dashboard. And this dashboard tracks continuously my population, my households and jobs, and compares it to the existing situation, the start situation. So what you can see here is we started off with a population of 257, and through the changes I made in zoning and building types, all of a sudden this area can now support over 2,000 people, over 1,000 households, and we also increased the number of jobs. And you can see whether or not you can set these targets before you start, and you can see whether or not you hit your targets. Urban also breaks down, all this information, for example, space use as percentages of total area, the zoning areas per parcel area, or I should say parcel area per zoning type, etc. And finally, the last major component of Urban are ideas. So ideas are input and feedback from citizens, stakeholders. And basically, well, you could say they're digital sticky notes in the 3D scene. They can be used to collect citizens' feedback in spatial context. Now, each idea has an identity if the user is logged in, but it can be anonymous depending how you want to deploy it. You can click on ideas, dive into it, etc. Now, once you're done with your plan in ArcGIS Urban, you can export it to CityEngine to make a realistic rendering of the proposed plan. And what you see here is a rendering that was done from a game engine. So you bring your plan into CityEngine, and then you can export it to either Unity or Unreal, and that would allow you to create a movie that you see here now. Take you into account the different materials, different lighting within the scene, and giving the proposed audience a really good indication or impression of what this proposed plan is going to look like. Now, finally, we can also use one of the freely available 3D solution templates on solutions.arcgis.com to analyze the impact of a proposed plan. There are solution templates available for visibility, solar, shadow impact, and soon also for flood impact analysis. So let's imagine that we have used ArcGIS Urban to redevelop a part of the waterfront here in Wellington. So we exported it from ArcGIS Urban and then bring it into the solution template and then analyze the potential impact of different flooding levels on our new development. So down the bottom here, we can select, for example, 3 meters sea level rise. And then if we click on the selector in the top right, we can see this will affect 22 buildings, and we have a loss potential of nearly $8 million. Same for 5 meters flood sea level rise. You'll see that the indicators do update. So that is ArcGIS Urban, a web-centric tool that makes it possible to bring together all different kinds of stakeholders around a common base, model of existing conditions with a common understanding of what's changing and tools to help guide this change.